Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. Hank, I know you're doing pretty well in college hoops. Last night I stubbed my toe. I did not do well. I like to be honest out there. You know, I'm more likely to turn it around and be good going forward, but boy, I wish I faded myself last night.
It was an interesting night last night. They had some pretty good games. The Duke game, Duke started off real slow. They were 1 for 15 in the first half, really, and then they came on strong in the second half. I played the second half number, and they wound up covering the whole game. When they get hot, they're pretty tough, particularly against the lesser teams in that conference. Kentucky is rolling. Auburn's back on target again. They've won a couple of games in a row. There's some good investments around. Marquette was upset last night by St. John's, and Tennessee didn't score enough against Missouri. Kentucky really blew out South Carolina. Michigan blew out Rutgers. North Carolina rolled over North Carolina State. Although North Carolina State at least scored some points in this game. And Illinois is playing well. Michigan State really misses their one guy. And I had Illinois. And my biggest play of the night was Kansas State against Kansas. And they came through. So I actually had a pretty good night.
Yeah, I had the Kansas State side as well. I lost a few other ones though. It was a miserable night for me. I had Marquette and I lost that game straight up. They got, to St. John's. St. John's had that good first half. They won the first half 40-30, and that was pretty. And Marquette fought back and made it a 1-point game, but it wasn't good enough.
St. John's is a hard team to figure. They're not consistent at all.
Well, that's the big issue this year is a lot of consistency. Yeah. But we got a full card of games tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to the Super Bowl, and a lot of the evaluations have come in, and one of the people who I really respect really jumped on McVay and couldn't understand why he never opened up the field offensively. He never called any plays that would open up the field, which, remember, I talked about this a little bit on Monday, where he got away from the offense he had run all year. Nobody can understand why he didn't use Gurley. That's number one. But besides that, he never gave his quarterback a chance because they had been successful by spreading the field and throwing, quick passes to the outside and running the ball to the outside and running swing passes to the outside, which had worked very well for them all season. And by opening up the field, it would disrupt the zone defenses and would allow the quarterback to find somebody to throw the ball to. Never did it the whole game. Never adjusted the whole game. And he just was very questionable in his play selection. And he's taken a lot of criticism around the league from people who know what they're talking about. Because their defense played well enough to win.
Well,
all they had to do, they didn't have to do that much to win the game. He did nothing.
Yeah, their defense held New England to 13 points. That's enough to, a normal circumstance. I don't know how anybody could figure. There was a guy that bet $250, I think at 500 to 1, that the Rams would score 3 points in the game.
He just took a shot.
I tell you what, I mean, I would probably said to the guy, well, I'll book it and I'll give you 300, I'll give you 600 to 1. I never would have thought that. I'd have lost my shirt.
Yeah, well, he hit the lottery. But,
he sure did.
But anyway, I think and somebody else did something last night on one of the networks, and I think he might have heard us, because it was word for word what I had said on our podcast. He said that pointing out that Marino never got back to a Super Bowl after his one shot. And he said he didn't think the Rams would ever get back to another Super Bowl under the sky. And I said the same thing. I don't think he's going to get another shot. I think the teams are going to look at what New England did to them defensively. They're going to run a lot of the same things at them. And the way to beat them is to just keep them from using the field. Make sure they keep everything inside of them. That's exactly what New England did. But,
do you feel
he was outcoached badly. He never tried anything, never adjusted anything. I mean, he had a long halftime to go over things and came out and did the same things that he was doing that didn't produce anything for him in the first half.
he definitely he deserves the criticism he's getting. I've heard all of that. He didn't make the adjustments. He didn't take advantage of the situations that have affected and hurt New England in the past. He didn't do any of that. I'm not sure.
Well, this was the team that averaged 32 points a game.
I know.
And he got away from everything. Everything. His whole offense was based on being an outside threat, and like I said, opening up the field.
Okay.
Didn't do it.
The people that are trying to defend him, I've heard this stuff as well. They're saying, well, the loss of Cooper Kupp really hurt Goff, and Goff was never really effective after that. And then, of course, Gurley. We don't know what the hell's wrong with Gurley. I mean, the guy, they say he's
There's
healthy.
nothing wrong with Gurley. Did you see him run the ball?
But why don't they use him more?
Well, that's the burning question. I mean, he had the ball 10 times. But when he ran the ball, he had the same burst I'd always seen in him. I mean, he passed the eye test.
Yeah, there are a lot of mysteries. That was a very, first of all, and I understand we're all bettors and prop bets and everything else keep you interested in the game, but overall that game was pretty lousy, and it was not entertaining in that regard. Yes, it was entertaining for us that do this for a living, but for the most part, a lot of people just turned the damn thing off. I mean, when they get through the first half and they just got sick of it. But the good thing, the only good thing about the day was we won our bets, and and the parties were good. But I don't know, the mystery. A few weeks ago, if you ever walked into the same room with Sean McVay, you got a head coaching job somewhere else. Now there's question mark whether that was a good idea or not because of how he showed up in that game. So a lot to be learned. College hoops. Hopefully, I can turn my stuff around tonight. I have 2 plays tonight. I went conservative with the number of plays. I usually do that if I hit a bump in the road. I usually back off. I don't chase. That's a good lesson for anybody that wants to survive in betting, because we all go through our ups and downs. And if you're going to start chasing when you have a bump in the road, you're not going to survive. So I backed off. I have 2 good plays tonight. I know you'll have some as well. Last night, one thing in pro basketball, Minnesota, Memphis did not suit up Gasol. And that pretty well is a tell that he's going to be leaving, and the word is he's going to Charlotte.
Well, everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen with New Orleans and what they're going to do and who they're going to trade with. Is it going to be the Lakers or it's going to be the Celtics? And if I'm the Celtics, I don't know that I want to make that deal and break up that team. They want 4 guys who are pretty good players, and
I wouldn't do it.
and I don't understand the whole deal. But that's we'll know today pretty soon, and may already know. As far as NBA is concerned, the Lakers took the worst loss that they've ever had. LeBron's worst loss ever, and they've got real problems. So because everybody thinks they're gone. So Miami's not playing too badly. They're holding up pretty decently. They got a nice win against Portland last night, and they've actually been scoring a lot of points in their game. But on the college front, there's some decent games tonight. I'll tell you a team that's been playing pretty well, and that's Davidson. You don't hear much about them, but they've been winning their share of games lately, and they're very well coached. Texas, Baylor, I think it's a great matchup. Baylor can score, and they're an exciting team right now, and they're highly ranked. And, they're a dog on the road at Texas. That should be a great game to watch. Villanova is playing Creighton. That game's going to be entertaining. Wisconsin is playing Minnesota. Good Big Ten matchup. And I think that's about it. And, of course, this weekend, Duke will have a rematch with Virginia.
That Duke team just looks, at times they just look unbeatable. I mean, it's, I know that the first time they played was pretty close, but that Duke is just, Zion Williams.
Well, Duke didn't have Jones the first time they played.
That's true. I can't think of the kid's name. He comes off the bench. He's really a good three-point shooter, and I think they're starting to use him more. That is a devastating team to match up against at the moment. I know they're favored to win it all. There will be other teams, and we haven't really talked too much about it. But Tennessee, under Barnes, is having one hell of a year. I know they're ranked number 1, but people don't talk about them as much. They are really good. They have every facet of the game covered. They're very, very strong. I love the way they're playing.
Duke has a couple of problems going forward that could hurt them when they get into tournaments. They're a streaky shooter from the outside, and they don't shoot free throws very well. And that's a little bit of a concern going forward.
Yeah, that can definitely cost you a game when you get down into the end of the game and you're starting to foul and you got to hit your free throws to hold your lead. That has cost a lot of teams over the years, and that is definitely a weakness.
Carolina's playing well right now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, nice to see North Carolina State score more than 24 points in a game.
I don't know what happened to them the other night. They came back and scored 95 against the Tar Heels. It was amazing. They didn't cover. North Carolina barely covered in that game. But still, you go from 25 to 95 against a quality opponent.
It's just one of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to watch West Virginia too. They can show up from time to time. They sure did. The other night they got crushed, but TCU is a very good team, very well coached, and they're the quality team from that conference right now. Michigan State's hurting. Lost their best player and is reflecting on the court right now. They're having trouble winning.
Yeah, a lot to keep track of. There are a lot of teams, there's lines up on tons of games, and a lot of people don't play them, but we have added games and extra board games that are, the Bucknells and the Loyolas of Maryland and the Vermonts and Maidens. A lot of people don't talk about them. I play them and bet them a lot, but there's a lot of people, a lot of customers out there don't get a chance to bet those games, so it's hard to give them out because people complain that they can't bet them because they don't have the right outs. But there's a lot of extra games on there. When you go out west, UNLV is playing Boise tonight. UNLV's had some up and down games this year. Sometimes they're just absolutely atrocious. Nevada plays.
UNLV is looking for a coach.
Oh, that's not surprising.
Yeah.
Nevada plays.
I know who they're interested in.
Who's that?
He's a former NBA coach, head coach in the NBA. Great backcourt player in the league. Has a trophy wife. Can't think of his name right now. But he used to. He's a Jersey guy.
Well, can you think of the trophy wife's name?
Just remember what she looks like. This is a guy who actually coached the Nets for a while.
I can't place it. One other team out west that's a pretty good basketball team. We've got a couple, but in Washington, Gonzaga, but we also have Nevada, and they're a pretty good team.
Yep.
They can. They're 21-1 on the year, so I guess they are pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and they can, any given night, they're ranked 6th in the country, and they're 13-point favorite on the road, Colorado State tonight. Anytime you're favored on the road, home dogs, especially late in the season, when you get into this number of games, 24, 25 games, you start to see some of these upsets happen. But we got a good card of games tonight for everybody. Like I said, I have a couple games up right now. I expect to win both of them and start my bounce back after last night's fiasco. And Hank's plays are up there too at jimfeist.com. Anything else you want to cover today, Hank?
No, I just want to start watching that new league. They start playing this weekend, and it's going to be interesting. There's not going to be any kickoffs in the league. They're just going to start on the 25-yard line. And there's a lot of interesting rules that they're going to apply. And they've got some quality players, some guys who are from the NFL. You got great coaches. You got Steve Spurrier coaching in Orlando, and then it's the old University of Miami coach is coaching in Utah. He should be able to put some exciting offenses out on the field. You got the old UCLA coach is in one of the southeastern teams. So you've got guys who are fairly well known. Mike Martz is coaching the California team.
Wow. I'm glad to hear that he's doing that, and that must mean his health has gotten better because he had some problems a few years ago. That's good. It'll be interesting. We're watching the birth of a new league. Let's hope it survives and does well.
Bill Polian is behind it, and Ebersol is the guy who's the founder, and these guys know what they're doing.
It takes a lot to start a new league. We had years ago with the USFL. I mean, I know you remember that, and the history of that, and the parties that ultimately destroyed the league. It's interesting. We can talk about that someday if you like.
Yeah, we can talk about it next year when he starts his next league. He is. He's doing another league next year.
You're kidding. Yeah, let's do that. Let's earmark a day. We'll spend 10 minutes talking about the old USFL and what happened to it.
Well, you know, they remember they were pretty entertaining there for a while. Had some decent teams, and remember He Hate Me, and but they were kind of an entertaining viewing opportunity. And it came along at the right time of year too, when there was a lull in football activity. I enjoyed that league. A friend of mine was the commissioner. Basil DeVito was the commissioner of the league. He worked for the wrestling guy, and they put him in charge of the league. And, Basil and I was good friends because Basil used to work for ABC as a production associate on horse racing. So I worked with him. We'll get him on the show one time.
Okay. Hank, I got to run. Have a good day. We'll talk again on Friday. Thanks, Hank.
Okay.
Thank you, buddy.